But I am curious about this though. So context, I went to NAMM a few weeks ago. It was really fun. It was my first time ever going to NAMM. Um, yeah, really fun. Uh, I know the whole saying of "Don't meet your heroes." Well, I met a few of them, and they're great people. So, hey, there's a good chance where your hero can actually be a good person. So, you know, not it's not always the case that you know that it's bad to meet your hero. Actually, I probably let's see.
Hello, everybody. Who wants
Oh, and also I met this guy over at NAM. He was pretty funny. Not gonna lie, he's really yeah, he's funny.
another off-the-cuff rant? Not entirely off the cuff this time. I had to speak to quite a few people before making this video, and I took some notes. But still, this is a video that I just felt like should be made, and I also know that nobody's going to make it besides me. So here I am. I actually wanted to make this video a considerable amount of time ago, and I was sort of convinced by a lot of good arguments from people that I actually know and trust to not do it because my arguments were a bit too weak. But after having just returned from another NAMM show 2 weeks ago, I feel like now this video is definitely warranted. So you read the title, you saw the thumbnail. This video is about why purchasing a booth at the NAMM show is not worth it. Now most of you
I see, I
watching
see.
this will not even be the target audience technically because you don't run guitar companies, you don't run amp companies, or any company that might exhibit at the NAMM show. But
Or you can basically do what Aristides did, which is basically just kind of, well, not mooch off, but like, hey, I see you got a booth. You mind if we chill with you guys? Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead. Could probably do that.
this might be interesting to you, so I do recommend sticking around. If this video was exclusively made for people who might attend the show as exhibitors, then it would get 300 views. This past NAMM show, 2025, was my third one. I went the 2 years before then. 2023 was still sort of a COVID recovery NAMM. That had been, I believe, the first show since 2020, and it had been shoved from January to April, and shortened from 4 days to 3. And then last year in 24, they went back to the usual date in January and also back to 4 days. And this year, a lot
It
of
was
stuff was
3 days.
different.
Yeah.
Mainly the fact that they did shorten it back from 4 to 3 days, and I saw some
I feel like they shouldn't have done that. I didn't know that they did 4 days. I feel like they should have stuck with four, because it still gave people like me time to still visit the show, because I only was able to attend 2 out of the 3 days because on the weekends I work.
something
And of course on Saturday when I work, freaking Mike Stringer shows up. I am still mad about that.
that I hadn't seen in the two shows prior because it wasn't there. And that is the NAMM show basement. Now, this basement at past shows like 2019, whatever, anytime before then, was a thing. It was just extra show floor space. Not entirely. About half of the basement was used for what looked to be badge will call, which is sort of strange to put that in the same room. And that basement is an incredibly low foot traffic area, but I'll get back to that in a second. Now, odds are you won't be familiar with the NAMM booth pricing structure, so I've just pulled up the website here
Yeah,
and I'm gonna read you how much a booth costs. Booth space
yeah,
is
tell
sold
me.
in 100 square foot increments.
Oh yeah, that is the. Oh yeah, I actually remember a conversation that I had with the Fishman personnel. Great people, by the way. So yeah, it reminds me of a conversation that I had with the Fishman uh, personnel, and yeah, they basically did tell me, oh man, it's gonna be hard for me to remember the conversation because there is a lot of numbers and rundowns. Because yeah. Long story short, it's not cheap to rent because not only do you have to like get rent the booth out and get the space, it's also like the setup, the transportations to and from, and making sure that your people are taken care of. It's a lot. Like, it will get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think for them, it came down to I think it was around the $350,000 range. I could be wrong, but it it was not cheap. Definitely was not cheap.
and 1 square foot costs roughly 38 US dollars, which means just the raw booth space of the smallest booth you can get, a 10 by 10 foot one, smaller wouldn't really make that much sense, will set you back around 4 grand. But that's not
Mhm.
it. You have to pay to rent some carpeting from the show if you want any, because
Oh, I actually didn't know that part.
that is a lot of stuff to lug from wherever you live to the show, so most exhibitors will choose to rent it from the show. You have to
Right.
pay for an extension cord, you have to pay if you want a chair at your booth and don't want to bring that from fucking Mexico or Denmark. So many international companies at that show, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Which reminds me, yep, their seat is foreign. They're, the Netherlands. Oh, man.
And this is not like NAMM show pricing, but obviously going there with either a team of people or just you as
Yeah.
an independent builder, you are going to have to pay for flights to get there and
Mhm.
for hotels. Obviously, that's not
Mhm.
technically the NAMM show's problem, but that is an
No.
expense that is associated with exhibiting at that show because you
Mhm.
have to sleep somewhere and you have to somehow get there from where you live. That is
Mhm.
not competitive pricing with other shows such as Guitar Summit in Mannheim, Germany. It doesn't really have to be because NAMM is the big boy flagship event. I'm just saying, that is very, very steep pricing. And this year in particular, a lot of people were very, very unhappy with their
Really?
booth positioning and
Uh,
just pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
everything surrounding it. So I'm going to
Yeah, I did get some vibes from that a little bit, yeah.
start off with a company that is going to remain anonymous, but that I'm familiar with, and they've sort of messaged me about exactly what their problem was with their NAMM booth this year. They first exhibited at NAMM a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say exactly which year, but they were very disappointed with booth positioning and overall foot traffic and turnout that year, so they didn't come back for the subsequent 1 or 2 shows. And then for the show in 2025, about 10 months prior, their NAMM rep hit them up and said, would you like to renew your registration for 2025? We've got this and that going on, and we can pretty much guarantee you some better booth spacing in a high foot traffic area. Now, again, NAMM happened in January of this year, a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
this was booked 8, 9, 10 months in advance, pretty much as far in advance as you can go, because it was
Oh,
about as close as possible to the last show. And they were assured better booth positioning, so they booked a 20 by 10 foot booth, which costs roughly $8,200. Now, like I said,
right.
that is not the only expense, it's just the only money that goes to the NAMM show is those roughly $8,200. But obviously, a company consisting of 3, 4, 5 people, those people need accommodation, they need to get there somehow, they
Oh, what's this? Oh, here we go.